All right. Make sure my mic's working. It is. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Premier Series here at Iowa Spedway. Race number 2 of the 4-race playoffs. So it's going to be a short field here tonight, so qualifying I think will play a big role in this one. And you can see as we're on board with that number 51 of Maxwell Caldwell joining me in the booth tonight. So I hope you had a good birthday last week, sir. But now it's time to put you back to work and show us what we're going to be looking for tonight.
Absolutely, got to get back at that grind, right? Thank you for letting me have that week off. And guys, welcome to Green White Checker TV. Going to take you for a couple laps around the Iowa Speedway. We're going to take a few laps because I want to show you guys just a few things with this track. A lot of things the drivers are going to be fighting tonight. We're back to a little bit of a tighter setup tonight. Not as loose as we've been used to most of the season. So drivers are really going to be fighting that right front, trying to preserve it. But as you come out of 4 here, we're going to get a run on the straightaway. You got 2 different lines you can attempt to run. A lot of times that top carries a lot of momentum, but right here on the bottom, you really want to let that thing roll. Clip that bottom right there where the yellow line is and drive it straight up out of the corner if you can without breaking rear traction. You're not on the straightaway very long until you're rolling right back down here on the bottom of 3 and 4. Really wants to step out like you saw there with me off of 4. Driver's going to be fighting that not only on their qualifying laps, but also in the race. And here's that high groove, but you got to watch that big bump. See how it shoves me right up the hill. If anybody tries to run that top, don't be shocked if we don't see a few cars go and clip the wall here. And as we get laps on the tires, you may even see some guys run right up here in 3 and 4. It'll be a great place to carry some momentum. The car won't get as tight, and it'll give you a huge run down this front stretch, heading way off into turn 1 here. But as you can see, even under braking, trying to get woed up, it's so hard to get that bottom. Guys are going to go try to make a pass, and it'll be so easy to overdrive these cars, Gael. It's going to be something we have to watch for. But not only that, we've got to remember here at Green White Checker TV in this Premier Series that we have seen drivers be able to make green flag pit stops, and we've went flag to flag quite a bit this season. So how treacherous will this pit road be to get on under green flag conditions? Very. If I'm a driver, I'm not even chancing it. I'm coming way down here, and I'm going ahead and woeing it up very early because I do not want to miss this very sharp, look at that, sharp entrance to pit road and slowed all the way down to 40 miles an hour. It's something that if you stay up on the track too much and carry too much momentum, not only will you miss that pit road, but you may even slam into the wall, or worse, just blow the corner and have to rebuild all your momentum just to come right back down pit road. A lot of things these drivers are going to fight tonight, Gael. The car's not handling all that well. It's going to be something interesting to watch all night long.
Yeah, exactly right. There's going to be a lot for these drivers to have to kind of be careful about. Like you said, I think right off the bat, the first thing you mentioned, though, that pit road is going to be very, very treacherous tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see how everybody's going to deal with it differently, I feel like, this evening. But I think one of the biggest issues, like you said, I think will be potentially that one pit stop. It looks like if we go green, let's say talk to drivers, sounds like the fuel window right around that 63, maybe 65 lap mark or so. So it'll be very interesting also to see kind of what the strategy is for the pit stop cycle. But say with the race being 120 laps, that's kind of what we're expecting to see here tonight. So we'll have to just wait and see how it all pans out completely, though. And again, other thing to mention, of course, is points going in tonight is the second race of the playoffs. And you see drivers starting to take the grid here, so we'll go through the points real quick. So obviously we're going to focus on the top 8. So right now with that win last week, Ryan Kelly 7 points ahead of Chad Wilkes, 9 ahead of Larry Yingling. And then you can see the rest of the field still pretty close in with one another. Unfortunately, Dale not racing with us this week, so he's going to start dropping. Then you got Jack Walls right there, Chris Matthews, James Ledford, Gabe Butler, and Kevin Freeze. So it's 17 points between first and 9th, or officially 8th. So going to be a lot to watch on that one as well. However, let's pull up our starting grid because it's I want to say a big change, but a little different than what we might have expected here tonight. With Ryan Kelly taking pole position, not a surprise there. Kevin Freeze in second, but you see Larry Yingling third. Not quite the qualifying run he was probably hoping to get, and that's going to also, again, that's going to give a bonus points to that 13 car, so a big bonus for him as well. And then you got James Ledford there in fourth, Todd Merkel, Michael Spell, Gabe Butler, Jack Walls, Chris Matthews, and Eric Laurie. So unfortunately, it only looks like about 10 cars tonight. Like I said, a really short field here this evening. A little surprised that we don't have some of the guys that run with us regularly. Wondering if work probably got away from Chad Wilkes, got him out from being able to race with us this evening. So that's going to drop him in the points. So I'd say it's every position here is going to be even more critical than usual just because of the smaller field count this evening.
Absolutely. These playoff drivers, if they want to get a big lead, it's going to be hard. And if they want to try to play catch up, it's going to be hard. It's going to be very difficult. 8 of the 10 drivers in the field are playoff drivers. They're almost just racing amongst themselves at this point. So not very many here tonight, but hopefully that doesn't deter too many. And I made a mistake. Chad Wilkes not being here, that leaves just 7 playoff drivers tonight. So almost can already count Chad Wilkes out of this championship for sure. You miss a race against Larry Yingling and Ryan Kelly, you're not going to have much of a chance. But I'm interested to see what Kevin Freese can do. So we see these top 3 here in qualifying. That's about how it looked in practice. I'm looking to see the top 3 kind of pull away from the rest of the field. James Ledford probably going to run pretty well in 4th on his own, but I don't know that he's quite got that pace. We see him already about a 10th off everybody else there in practice or in qualifying. So I don't know that he's going to quite have that pace to catch up, but what we got to watch for tonight is Rex. This thing can get really loose off turn 4, just like it does at Richmond Raceway. We always know that notorious turn 4 there. These cars are breaking loose there, and definitely trying to come off 2. They do about a similar thing, trying to break a little bit loose. But if you get too tight and smack that wall and give yourself damage, it could be a nightmare night for you. But Gael, the pace car is getting ready to come in. We're about to go green.
Yeah, so we're keeping that pace car. Stevie makes the sharp left, but as they... Yeah, he's going to fake us out. Say with the being of the short track, sometimes they go 2 laps, sometimes they don't. Looks like Iowa, they do have the 1, so we got the 1 extra time around here. So the other thing that's going to come into play here, I feel like, Maxwell, is going to be the bonus point for highest climber as well. So I'm watching some of these drivers. You look at Chris Matthews in the 92, and then Jack Walls. I believe those 2 drivers are going to be the ones starting furthest in the back of our playoff contenders. So that might be another, again, just maybe get that little extra bonus point for them to move their way forward. And then, of course, like you said, Kevin Freese, this is a good opportunity here. If he can be real aggressive here on this opening start, again, he's there's no leader doesn't control the initial start. That goes on green. So if he can get a quick reaction, maybe keep Ryan pinned to that inside line, maybe try to steal lap number 1 away from that 13 car, get that bonus point, and then settle in for the rest of the race. Because like I said, with this likely being a one-stop strategy race, I don't think we'll see too many strategies play out tonight. But of course, like we said, yellows, which it'll be very easy to lose it off of 4. Say that would be, I think, the one thing that could shake up the way this race unfolds tonight.
Absolutely looking for Kevin Freese to try to take the lead early. The right front's going to be a big deal tonight. Here the drivers come, right here tidied up, coming to the green flag as we get ready to go here at Iowa Speedway. Look at these playoff drivers racing off into turn 1 here at this short track. And Kevin Freese not getting the best of runs he thought, but look at Larry Yingling already on the attack for Ryan Kelly, side by side coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, I was worried about Larry starting in 3rd position. He's proving that there's no reason to worry about that at all. He's going to go straight to the front there, 3rd to 1st in an opening lap. It's like Larry Yingling, he's going to get the first lap led here in that 67 car. And again, that's something he's going to probably need to do, is he's going to need to really try to control this race and keep that 13 in his mirrors to be able to make up that deficit from Ryan's win last week.
Absolutely, but Ryan Kelly kind of pulled over fairly quick, fairly easy. I don't know if that top side was just a little bit tight. We talked about it, in the pre-race, talking about how tight that track is, and if you hit those bumps up in 1 and 2, could have disturbed that 13 and that 5 both enough to be able to give up a little bit of spots there going into 3. But Ryan Kelly, he's so smooth, he's so consistent, and it doesn't matter what he does, he always turns on about 10-15 laps into the run. So I'm really looking for Ryan Kelly to start pulling his way closer to Larry Yingling. But look, as he already gained so early, it tells me Larry wanted to take that lead, get some clean air, be nice to his right front, have control of the pace, and it looks like he's just kind of riding in cruise control up front, letting Ryan Kelly catch him, knowing his strategy and what he's doing.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see. Like you said, is Larry going to just run his own pace, or is he going to try to adjust his pace possibly to Ryan's to try to be able to compete and kind of just run just hard enough to keep that 13 at bay? So with that all going on, that's actually brought Kevin Freese right to the rear bumper again of Ryan Kelly. They've got about the top 3 separated by about half a second over the 4th place of Todd Merkel there in the number 2. Right now, not a lot of change for position early on. Right now, actually the 2 highest climbers, Larry Yingling with those +2 to the lead, and then a little further back, the 92 of Chris Matthews getting 2 spots as well, as he's trying to work over the 88 of Michael Spell. But one driver that I feel like is usually really good on the long runs, I think that's what we're seeing here, is him just really taking care of his stuff these first opening laps, is going to be that 83 of Jack Walls. I feel like Jack just always has a knack for really having good long run pace, so I'm going to be watching him as well as kind of the tires start to warm up a little bit, get the heat in them, and start getting that wear out. Maybe around, let's say, lap 20, lap 30, that's where I'm going to really start watching these lap times and see where everybody is in relation to one another.
Absolutely, and as we watch those lap times, something else I'm going to kind of be watching here tonight, Gael, is pit strategy. We had some drivers talking about with this tight setup, the pace really starts to slow down after a few laps, which means the drivers are technically not on the throttle near as much, saving more fuel than they expected. Could we see a driver try to stretch it and make it on one stop tonight, or will it be a two-stopper for everybody? Or is somebody that we know is notorious for going off strategy like Jack Walls, is he going to attempt to make a three-stop race and try to use those fresh tires? I don't know that that'll work at such a short track, but hey, we've seen crazier things, right? So be looking for all kinds of different pit strategies tonight and just seeing maybe who's trying to hang back and who's on the throttle trying to go constantly. As we see the 13 look under the 67 going into turn 1, I believe he's going to take that spot and probably clear coming out of 2.
Yeah, I'm watching Larry see if he maybe tries to pull a crossover, not able to. So yeah, move Ryan Kelly now to the point there. So we'll see if Ryan's able to do what he did last week and kind of get the lead and then set sail. I say that's going to be the last thing Larry's going to want to see happen, though. So again, he's going to need to try to get some points back on Ryan Kelly. But I say with Ryan getting the pole and now leading the lap, I say they're kind of even on that front again, with Ryan actually getting a point ahead of Larry just with that pole position as well. So yeah, so we'll have to kind of keep watching and see how this all continues to unwind. But right now, I say those top three are starting to build a little bit gap.
And I know Larry's probably wanting to conserve a little fuel, conserve his tires, but he needs to be thinking with Ryan Kelly getting the pole to even come equal with him now. He needs to try to lead the most laps tonight to get that extra bonus point. And if Ryan leads the most laps, has the pole, and has 2 bonus points on Larry, and somehow even if Larry even wins and Ryan finishes second, that's really only a 2-point gain for Larry. I don't know that that's enough going into the rest of these playoffs. He's really going to have to be on the offense. He doesn't really, even going for the race win, I don't think is enough as far as bonus points go to really pull ahead of that 13. He needs to be a little bit more aggressive, but now we see that he's getting ready to be under fire from Kevin Freeze in that 5 car. And hey, let's give a shout out to Todd Merkel in that 2 car. He has not let these top 3 really take off away from him like I thought we would see tonight so far. I really thought this would be a 3-horse race, taking way off and pulling away. But look at them running just right there in their tire tracks, just a little over a second off.
Yeah, and again, I'd say we're still early, but watching the lap times, and you're exactly right. I mean, he's right now running within about a tenth or so of the leaders. You can see he's only about 7/10 off those guys in front. So I'll say definitely not too bad of a position there. And he's kind of got an even gap to James Ledford, so he's got a nice little pocket here. He can just kind of keep running and try to take care of his stuff here. Say hopefully let these guys kind of fight it out a little bit, maybe abuse their stuff a little bit more, bring him right back to them. And say we're mentioning the Jack Walls, maybe trying to see if he could save his stuff a little bit early on. Looks like he and Chris both got around the 88 of Michael Spell, and now Jack's starting to put a lot of pressure on that 92 as well. Looks like he's going to take a look here off of turn number 2. So I think Jack, like we talked about, maybe taking care of those tires right off the bat, and now going to try to start using them up a little bit to work his way slowly but surely to get into that top 5.
Absolutely. Be curious to see what that 83 of Jack Walls does. He normally always likes to go off strategy of everybody else by a big margin. But we already see the field spreading out pretty good. You know, we've got the leaders already heading into turn 3, and we have the 71 who is in last place, just the 10th place car, mind you, and already a whole half track behind almost. As they go into turn 3, he was coming out of turn 2. So he's at least a full straightaway behind these leaders already. So I don't know with 10 cars how quick it'll be, but at this pace, I think we'll start encountering lap traffic probably before the end of this race with only 10 cars in the field.
Yeah, so almost got a bit of an IROC feel, if you will, say with the shorter fields and say very, very competitive equal cars and drivers. So they kind of got that feel to it. It feels like right now with these guys, and I say right now the top 3 starting to sneak away a little bit. And honestly, I mean, this is kind of what we would expect to say. Unfortunately, with Chad Wilkes not being able to make this one tonight, I'll say he's definitely one of those guys you expect to see week in and week out running with those front runners. So with him missing, I think this is kind of have been the quickest drivers all season long that are in this tonight's race. So not a surprise to see them up front stretching it out just a little bit now. So they've been able to start see these last couple laps be able to pull a bit of a gap further on Todd Merkel. And I say the other driver that's starting to pull in on Todd, though, is that 48 of James Ledford. He's now brought that gap into about a half a second. and he's got a nice gap over Jack Walls, who now Jack is up into that 6th position, able to get around the number 1 of Gabe Butler. It looks like Chris Matthews followed him through. So I'll say we talked about that battle for the highest climber. Right now, Jack and Chris both sitting at 3 spots gained thus far.
Absolutely. They're doing everything they need to do right now just to have the points battle amongst themselves. But, Gael, as you're watching back there, I just happened to take a glance at the leaders, and I don't know if Ryan Kelly has found something or what's going on, but Larry was looking under him a lap ago in turn 3 and already look at the big gap Ryan has gained. I think he is starting to diamond his corners just a little bit while Larry is continuing to keep it on the bottom. And I'll be honest, normally I would say diamond in the corner might be a little bit rough on the right front, but the way this car tries to break loose on turns 2 and 4, I don't know that I wouldn't want to be diamond in the corner just a little bit. Get that straighter run off on the straightaways, protect that right rear. Where Larry, if he's breaking loose any on corner exit, is starting to slide that right rear more and more. And I know Larry well. He loves a car that slides around like that, but if he doesn't watch it, he's going to slide it and he's going to get it heated up too much where it slides in a way he doesn't enjoy it, and it's just going to be hard for him to get any traction down. So 2 different racing strategies a little bit. Ryan kind of, you see him right here, he goes into 3, slides up just a little, and then he's going to kind of bring it down a little bit. He actually kind of arced that one a little bit more that time, so maybe it was just a mistake the lap before, but he's definitely starting to pull away from Larry a little bit, but you got to start wondering, you see Larry really backing his entries and his pace up, Gael. Is he going to snooker Ryan Kelly for a 3rd time on fuel strategy? We're going to have to watch and see how that plays out.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And like you said, it's the fuel strategy side of things is the 1-stop versus 2-stopper. I say right now they're about a full second already slower than what they ran on their fastest laps. So and I said that's only about 23 laps now into this. So I say depending on when that break-even point comes into play, that's going to be very interesting to see. Like you said, if that 2-stopper is the way to go, or try to see if you can stretch it for the 1. So we have a lot to see right now. So we've been kind of watching right now off of Kevin Freeze just stalking Larry. I feel like was running pretty similar to what we saw Ryan Kelly doing, running about that half a groove up, then try to arc it back down. I think also Kevin trying to keep some clean air on the front of that 5 car as well. But yeah, he's definitely keeping Larry very honest. If Larry's going to try to save, he won't be able to do much with that 5, because as soon as he makes the slightest of mistakes, that 5 is going to be able to try to make a move on him right now. Saying these 3 are definitely starting to stretch it out a little bit on the remainder of the field. But yeah, like you said, though, Ryan is almost about a full second over Larry. Now these last few laps has really been able to start to kind of pull that gap out.
Absolutely. And, I don't hear Larry clutching like we've heard him in races before as I ride on board with the 67 of Larry Yingling just to see what's going on. But I will say that he is lifting, I think, a little bit earlier than normal for these corners. And that just may be the way this setup is and the pace slowing down. Kind of seems like him and Ryan are keeping a similar pace going on, but we're not used to seeing Larry kind of fall back this far, especially on short tracks. I compare Iowa to a Richmond, just a little bit bumpier, and I've raced with Larry Yingling for 10 plus years, so I know where his strengths and weaknesses are. Short tracks are not a weakness for him. He normally runs very strong, so it's kind of shocking to see our 1.5 mile king of Ryan Kelly kind of besting Larry and continuing really to pull away. Now a 1 second gap over that 67.
Yeah, and something actually along that point was, we go back to our regular season finale for Ryan Kelly. He went into that one saying that Phoenix is not one of his best tracks. And he went out there and he performed well and did exactly what he needed to do. So it also might be a case of Ryan been stepping up his game here over this past season. Always been quick, but I think he's been improving at tracks where maybe he felt like weren't his strong suits, and just been able to make himself that much better at those tracks as well. So it's one of those things where you feel like you know what your strengths are for Ryan. Like I said, those 1.5 mile tracks, really the long runs, managing those tires. But he's been really stepping up on these shorter tracks, like you said, like an Iowa here tonight, like a Phoenix. So I think Ryan's kind of showing he's got a little bit of everything now for these guys.
And Ryan Kelly, other than some of the admins of this league, one of the most experienced veterans. If I'm correct in saying this, guy, I believe Ryan Kelly's been racing with Area 51 since season 1 of this series. So definitely been around a long time. He's raced around a lot of great drivers. Going down memory lane, man. Levi Cox, a guy that's won a lot of races. And then the guys today, Chad Wilkes, Larry Yingling, Kevin Freeze. I got to race with him a lot. Me and him had a great championship battle one season. Came down to the last race, and I think it was only like a 2 or 3 point difference is all it came down to. So he's raced, and he's had wins, and he's had losses, and I think all those seasons he's put together into this one. Now that we've changed to a different car, a different dynamic, I think his goal was to go out and try to do the very best he could every single race and just be on the attack. He's learned from all the mistakes he's made, and it's showing this season. I mean, it's not going to shock me if he doesn't end this season probably with more wins than Larry Yingling. I do think Larry is currently leading in wins. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Gael, but I know they're very close, and I think if Ryan could win this race tonight, I'm not so sure that he may not tie him in wins this season.
Yep, you're spot on there. Yeah, it's right now 5 wins to Larry to 4 to Ryan. So if Ryan can win tonight, that would put them even. Saying again, these two are just, again, they've been putting the beat down on the rest of the field. Like I said, we had that bounty on them last week at Las Vegas. But Ryan was able to get that win there as well. So it's just these two have just, we know that they're fast, but I mean, to be able to win all the races between themselves this season just kind of goes to show how good they are. And so it's tough, friends. And that's why, like, if you're Kevin Freese right now, so you're probably feeling pretty good about where you are putting pressure on one of the top 2 drivers this season. I said we've seen a few drivers try to have a really good chance of trying to get that win from them. Chad Wilkes, of course, was in a great spot last week to do so, and we've seen some other drivers have opportunities as well. But and of course, Chad another one actually at the Daytona Road Course. But again, when it came down to it, though, Ryan and Larry just stepped up their game and were able to kind of beat some of the drivers at some of their best tracks and best strengths.
Absolutely, and if we look back on it, we can actually look. Some of these wins have been very fortunate for these drivers. Larry Yingling 2 different times on fuel strategy, stretching it farther than anyone believed he could, not having the fastest car. At the road course with Larry even, just hanging on for dear life as Chad Wilkes put all that pressure on him. Yes, Larry performed all 3 races, and I completely understand that, but, the way track position worked at that road course, I think if Chad Wilkes got around him, he was going to pull away. Larry just did everything he needed to there with the practice he had that week, and Ryan Kelly just outright pace all season long. I think out of any driver in the field, we have seen every single race that Ryan Kelly has been the one to pull away. And normally it just comes down to these green flag pit stops of whether Ryan wins or not. If we think about it, Ryan Kelly should have those other 2 wins right there from the first of the season. We should be talking about Ryan Kelly having 6 wins on the season, and we're not. And if he were to win this one, it would technically kind of look like 7 out of the 12 races. That is some insane dominance, Gael. And, Chad Wilkes, hey, great competitor, our previous champion. I mean, what? Did he win 5 races last season? Great driver. But just the way these green flag pit stops have worked out, and with his road course background, he's trained to try to stay out as long as he can. And, that's kind of bit him in all these races and really put him behind the 8 ball for the most part. So Ryan Kelly and Larry Yingling just been the first 2 guys to pit each time, taking advantage of fresh tires. That's been the difference. That's been the key for them. So as I look at that tonight, you have Kevin Freese is actually sitting here running with these 2 drivers. Is he going to be the one to make the first move on pit road and try to make the upset? Because I feel like once you get track position on these guys, this setup is tight, Gael. And once you get to this point in the run, you're just kind of along for the ride. If Kevin Freese tries to make a pass on Larry right now, he's either going to take him out because he's going to slide up the hill, or the car's just not going to rotate like he needs to with that car on the outside taking the air off. So as of right now, I think everybody's kind of stuck where they're at, but pit stops that'll be coming up, that's going to be where it is key tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. And so right now I was watching James Levner has been working over Todd Merkel for the last handful of laps. He's getting right to him. So he's, like I said, he's getting there now. It's trying to figure out a way to get around. But while watching that too, watching the lap times again, and we were talking about Ryan Kelly stretched out to over a second. It's down now to about 8/10. So Larry's been slowly reeling him back in. And like you said as well, Maxwell, that the pit strategy side of things, if we do see a 2-step strategy, this would be about the time where we would see that pit stop happen, as we're now on lap 40. So I'd say you probably want to split it evenly, pitting around lap 40, then lap 80. And right now I'm seeing no takers, so I'm thinking at this point we might be seeing kind of everybody kind of showing what they're planning on, and that's going to be a one-stop strategy tonight, going for that lap 60 mark. So I'm looking at the lap times as well, and I think we've kind of hit that crossover point as well, because they've kind of solidified at that 1 second off their best laps right now. Say it was a 24:29 for Ryan as his best lap, Now he's running a 25:31. Last time by 25:44. This time, so about 1.1 seconds off. So yeah, so I think just that's not enough fall off to, I think, to force a second stop here.
Absolutely. And you know, when we get these races that are just a one-stop race, I'll be completely transparent with you, Gael. I'm not a huge fan of it. It kind of takes a lot of strategy out because you don't know who's going to pit early, who's going to pit late. You know they're all going to pit right at the same lap. So if that's the case tonight, we have a one-stopper. I expect the 13, the 67, the 5 all to be on pit road the exact same lap, taking fuel. But does one of these drivers risk it? Do they think they can go farther than that lap 60 mark? And do they think they can hit at lap 59 and make it to the end? If so, that could be the difference on fresh tires with that pace fell off, what, about a second you said?
Yep.
Second and a half? So with that pace drop off, hey, that 5 car, he's within range. If he pits and gets fresh tires and gets a lap on them while they're pitting, it's game over. He can get up there in the lead, and I don't think one lap fresher tires will make that much of a difference over this long haul. So that could be huge for him. And we talked about lap traffic. Here we are coming to lap 45 for these drivers, and now we're encountering the 10th place car already. A rapid pace these top 3 are putting on the field. They're already 7.5 seconds ahead of 4th place. So like I kind of thought, top 3 is going to take off, and the race is going to be within the rest of the field.
Yes, and this last couple laps, they've really spread out as well. So you can see Kevin Freese now isn't right on the back bumper of Larry Yingling. He's lost a couple of tenths to him. So now it's pretty even between those 3. It's pretty much 6-7 tenths between each driver right now. But we have a really good battle here right now for 4th, 5th, and 6th. So we talked about Jack Walls. He's right there again. He's caught James Ledford, and James still working over Todd Merkel. So if Jack can pull this off right here, he could jump from 6th to 4th here in just a couple of laps. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see what Jack's able to do here as well. So right now he's been one of the biggest movers in the race. And so I've been watching his lap times as well. He's been right on par. Maybe every so often, maybe a tenth or so down, but he's been running lap times right with the leaders. And you see right there, James try to make a move, loses a bit of momentum. This might be an opportunity here for Jack.
Absolutely. Jack Walls just running a smooth, consistent race, just slow and steady wins the race. Don't know that being 8 to 9 seconds back currently is going to be very good for his chances to win tonight or to even probably get a top 3 podium finish, but he could definitely be well in that race for 4th place for sure. So it's just a lot of pace he'd have to have in that car to catch these top 3 tonight, but as he still kind of loses time in that pack. But man, Jack Walls definitely impressive from where he started in the 9th position, already up to 6th and kind of looking at 5th. It could easily take 4th here before pit stops, I think.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go 3 wide there for a moment there, try to get the 2 and the 40 in one shot. You see James Ledford finally able to get around the 2 of Todd Merkel, but now it's going to be Jack's turn. He's going to try to see if he can follow through as well. So you can see he was actually able to rotate the top really well there off of 2. And he's going to hold even there with the 83 back into turn number 3. So now Todd looks like he's going to get cleared. And I see it looks like Eric Flory, he's just hit pit road. We just mentioned he had just got lapped, so he's going to hit pit road right now. One of our first to do so. And now you see, so now that's going to move James Ledford to 4th, Jack Walls into 5th. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on Jack here a little bit as well. We're going to jump back up front though, because again, Larry's still holding pretty steady with Ryan, but you can see they're starting to just put a little bit of gap now on that 5 of Kevin Freese. And the thing is, though, I mean, they're about 10 laps away now from that one-stop window. So for Kevin, he can just hang out just a little bit longer. He'll be in a good spot to, like I said, maybe look at doing that undercut.
Absolutely. And Gael, I'm going to test you here for just a minute. Look at the top 2 drivers. Do you notice what the difference is between the 2? The reason why their pace is a little bit different from each other. Can you see it in the corners? That 13 running about a half lane to a lane higher. Look at him right there in 1 and 2, and look at where that 67 Yingling is. Ryan's trying to go in a little high and get that big drive off. Larry Yingling just trying to roll that car on the bottom and trying to protect that right front. So what's probably going on is Larry may be a little bit loose on corner exit from running the bottom so much. He might have built up enough tire pressure that it's really kind of equaled out and got him a little bit snug. But that 13 definitely probably fighting a little bit of tight with the right front after kind of diving in. You see he couldn't hold the bottom there. He aimed for the bottom and it shot up the hill on him enough that he couldn't even dime in that corner. So watch for Larry to gain there in turn 2. But just the different driving styles, right? The different ways you drive your cars early on shows the different run you have toward the end. So even though they're both kind of matching pace, you see two completely different driving styles, two completely different lines. So that'll be something to watch as we come toward the end of this race, because if Ryan keeps running up high like that and Larry gets a run, Larry Yingling's going to easily be able to roll that bottom and get position on Ryan and put him in a very bad spot.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Like I said, to be able to run near identical lap times that they're doing, and do need to mention, like I said, when Ryan wasn't able to hold the bottom the last time by, he was about 800ths of a second slower than Larry, so you were spot on with that. He was going to be losing some time, and he exactly did that. But yeah, you're right, though. You can see now Ryan actually goes right back to the bottom, kind of like where Larry had been running. But again, you can see he doesn't quite hold it as well, so I think you're right. I think Ryan probably hurting his right front a little bit more. Larry probably has a little bit more heat in the right rear. And it's just the way you drive this car. Ryan might be attacking the entries a little bit more, kind of scrubbing that right front a little bit. Like you mentioned, Larry, kind of being easier on the entry really allows to take care of that right front. And then you just had to be kind of manage that throttle on exit as well. So these two definitely running very different turns. But you can see that 13 car, like you talked about in your qualifying laps there, Maxwell. I mean, you hit that bump, and if you don't hit it right, it's going to send you up the track, possibly a groove or more. So you got to be very, very aware of where you are when you hit that bump and kind of what your steering position is at that point.
Absolutely, and this is why this track is such a driver's favorite track here, because there's character, there's bumps. Look, he hits it right there in turn one. You see the back end step for just a second as he has to collect it, yet he can still get the drive off on Larry because both cars are struggling. They're both hitting the bumps. They're both behaving a little bit different depending on their corner entry. And here it is, Larry Yingling going to take that risk a couple laps early. He's really risking whether he can make it to the end. He must feel like he's got the fuel strategy. This is the strategy we were watching for. Larry Yingling on pit road first. This could be the race right here. The 13 has to respond this lap.
I like it. This is the first time we've seen Larry make this move to be able to actually jump over Ryan. So, like you said, now we're going to watch Ryan Kelly. Does he respond right off the bat? He does not, surprisingly. He stays out. Kevin Freese comes in the next time by. So this could put Ryan possibly behind Larry and Kevin, I should say, after the pit stop cycle. So right now Larry is in the pits. He's getting service done to his car. Just about done. We should see him drop off the jack and get rolling here in just a second. As he goes off, that's going to bring Kevin Freese just about into his pits. But Ryan Kelly surprisingly does not react. It looks like he's kind of sticking with his own strategy. He's going to stay out longer this time. So maybe Ryan thinking that, all right, let them go early. I'm going to run this one late now. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Larry's actually in a really good spot as well, Maxwell. Got to bring that up because he's going to come around James Ledford right now. And now he's got complete clear track in front of that 67 car.
Absolutely. I don't like this for the 13 guy. I don't like it at all. If his car was handling a little bit better, I would say maybe, possibly. But, man, he's pushing up the corners. He's really sliding the thing. Either Ryan is waiting for a caution or he is just hoping and praying that he is going to have the pace for all 55 laps, probably by the time he pits, that he can just mow down that 67 and get by him. He's maybe thinking he wore his stuff out more than Larry, and if he pitted the same, Larry was going to eventually get him. So maybe he's trying to go on the offensive strategy, kind of go a little bit longer, have a little more tire for the end. But now here he comes down pit road, but he's going to come in behind the lap car. That could really slow him down, Gaio. Got to get it down to 40 mile an hour as he slides in. We'll have to make sure he actually made pit road speed there.
Yeah, so you definitely try to get everything he could as you saw Larry going around the 13 car again. That's just to put Larry basically back on the lead lap, as that last time by Larry put down the fastest lap of the race thus far. So he is trying to get everything out of these fresh tires while he can. As you can see, Ryan's kind of in the middle here, going to kind of go around the 88. You saw the 83 of Jack Walls also in the pits. That's going to be also has Michael Spellin. So that's going to cycle through now Todd Merkel as our race leader. He's going to stretch us even further. And then Chris Matthews, the 92 car, maybe trying to see if he can go an extra lap, maybe get a bonus point in that 92 car as well. And actually, as I said, no, he's going to have to come at the same time as the 2 here. Oh, Chris gets a little hot. Oh, he catches the tire barrier like we worried about. Got a little too hot, but it's not going to be the end of his night, though, because now he's already on pit road. I don't know if he might get a pit penalty for an unsafe entry, hitting that cone possibly, but this will be an opportunity for him to use that fast repair. But now we got to go back and look at the pit stop completion, because look at the gaps now. You got Larry Yingling leading. You got Kevin Freese in second, about 3 seconds back. And you got about 4.5 seconds to Ryan Kelly. And it's only about a 4-lap difference between when Larry pitted and when Ryan pitted.
Exactly. Like I said, very worried about that. You have pitted early every race all season, and it has always put you back in the lead with a bigger gap. Why would we wait till the playoffs to want to do a late race strategy, kind of like Chad Wilkes runs? watching how time and time again it has never worked, especially at a track like this where we are fighting a lot of handling issues. The quicker you can get some fresh shoes on, the better. So what's going to happen is Ryan may be able to catch Kevin Freeze. He may be able to get around him, but I don't think he's going to have enough tire left by the time he drives that hard to be able to catch. As we see the 88 Dispel get a little bit loose, I don't know that that's going to bring a caution now, but he definitely went for a slide there on the front stretch. Maybe got it gathered up before he went into turn.
Yeah, it looks like he's got okay again, so we will stay green. But the problem for Larry now is he is in a gaggle. You've got behind him Chris Matthews, who's right now the first car one down. Oh, you see Todd Merkel got loose. Chris Matthews spins it off of 4. Looks like he's going to get it pointed straight before yellow came out, so almost a tough break for him. Well, it is a tough break for him, but almost was going to change the outcome of that race with the potential yellow. But he's able to keep it underneath him, and he's going to get back going again. But with all that going on, though, I feel like this has really been costing Larry lap time, and indeed it has. He's lost about 0.4 of a second to Ryan. That last lap alone, with trying to work his way through some of this traffic in front of him. So he's going to have to try to regroup and get some lap time back in because, let's say, Ryan, we talked about Ryan being 4.5 seconds out. It's down to about a solid 3 seconds now just with that little bit of a miscue for the cars in front of Larry.
I could be wrong. Ryan could have stayed out knowing that maybe he could make X amount of lap time up every single lap on Larry all the way till the end, because I wasn't thinking that it wasn't just a lap or two. It's 3 or 4 lap difference. So now the entire run, he should be faster than Larry by a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. That's all it's going to take, right? Brought that gap down already to 2.8 seconds from almost 4 seconds back. So Ryan already catching Kevin Freeze, looking for him to make short work of that 5 car, and then the race is going to be, can he catch the 67? And when he does, will he have enough tire to actually make the pass that late in the run? I think that's what Larry's looking at. He knew how tight the car got. He knew that he could not roll the bottom and get the drive off. He would need to pass Ryan on that last run, so he figured if he could get ahead of him, he can play defense and be able to equalize out on tires, I'm sure. So it's the battle between the 13 and the 67. We see the 13 already there on the 5. I'm looking for this to be maybe a lap or 2, and he's going to be right around. But look at Merkel still running with the 67 there. He's got a little bit fresher tires. He may not make this so easy on the 67. He may end up putting a little bit of pressure on that leader.
Yeah, I was just watching right now. Ryan Kelly just got around that number 5 of Kevin Freeze. Again, now's that battle for the second spots to move Ryan now back up into second. But you're right, though. Say Todd Merkel not giving up a lot of track time right now to Larry. So you talk about the difference in tires. Let's say Larry pitted on 57, Todd pitted on 62. So 5-lap difference. And saying Todd is showing that with those fresh tires, fresher tires, and then also, of course, we saw his early pace as well. So I say Todd's in a really good spot. So he fell off a little bit in the first run. So I think he needs to try to make sure he doesn't overdrive his car too hard to try to keep with someone like Larry. That make sure he keeps enough tire for the end of this race, because we still got 49 to go in this one, so still a lot can happen. But yeah, you're right, though. Todd definitely keeping that pressure on Larry. And then, again, watching that gap between Larry and Ryan, it's down, again, about 0.3 of a second quicker for Ryan the last time by. It's almost down to about just a second flat now.
Yes, Ryan making way more time than I thought he would. Why would I truly doubt Ryan Kelly like that? I guess it's because, he's up against one of the smartest drivers, in my opinion, in the whole field when it comes to strategy, Larry Yingling. But, Ryan's still got to get around that 2 car. And, lap traffic's not always as kind as you want it to be. But I don't think Larry Yingling expected Ryan to get to him so quick. I'm pretty sure this 2 of Todd Merkel is going to get out of the 13's way once he gets to him. And then I think Ryan will have enough tire with this many laps left in the race. If I'm Larry Yingling, I'm kind of worried. I'm like, how in the world did that 13 shave 4 seconds off so quickly?
Yeah, the only other thought I have is maybe Larry taking it really easy on those tires. That way he can start kind of, like basically one of those things where you kind of the cat and mouse game. Let Ryan get to you, you're feeling confident, and then Larry doing Larry things, maybe steps it up a 10th or 2, and then makes Ryan have to kind of try to start pushing his stuff back up again. So it's something we always talk about, where those opening couple of laps on fresh tires, they really play a big role in how your tires are going to be at the end of the race. And as you were talking about there with the 2 Todd Merkel, he's going to give the 13 the inside line here through 3 and 4. But you see Ryan can't quite clear Todd there off of 4, so it's going to cost him probably maybe a 10th or so. But now he's going to clear that 2 car, so now it's going to be a head-on fight between that 67 and the 13. But also, I mean, hats off to the 5 of Kevin Freeze. I say he's still right on pace with these guys. We saw him fall off a little bit after that first run, but he's been able to hold on pretty well in the second run. Still a long ways to go, of course, for him as well. But yeah, I'll say if these two maybe start making little mistakes fighting with one another, maybe he can be in a spot to capitalize on it.
Absolutely. And, when that 13 goes get beside that 67, knowing Larry, he may let him have it, but I don't think with him being playoff and knowing this is your stiffest competition, I think you've got to race him super hard, even if it burns your stuff up a little bit, because Ryan Kelly is there. He's there. He's getting those runs off. He's definitely better on corner entry. You got to look. Here Ryan is taking the look. Don't know if he's going to shove it in there. He's going to kind of fake Larry, make Larry take a line he doesn't want to take. A little bit of a tighter arc. And here Ryan's going to get that run through the center, get a great run off too. He's going to look at him going into turn 3. Watch for him to pop the nose. Here he goes inside Larry Yingling. Here's the battle for the lead. Not enough. Can't use the whole track. 67 is going to get a nice run up top. Going to be able to hold him off. This is the battle for the lead. And not only that, this is a battle for the championship, Gael. A lot of side-by-side action between these two leaders.
Yeah, say Larry's going to have to, like you said, you see right there, he's going to have to keep that 13 pinched. But the thing is, he's got over 40 laps still to go on this one, so he's going to have to really kind of keep that 13 working hard. And you see there, he moves back to the bottom side. Ryan does, like he said, runs that second group, gets a great exit off of 4, gets again right back underneath. And it's just what you talked about, Maxwell. Ryan's able to kind of do that not double apex, but kind of where you kind of arc it up and then back down again and get such a run. But Larry's going to try to fight that 13 car for all he's worth here again as they go back into 3.
And Larry can hold his own on the outside in 3 and 4, but Ryan's got to get enough of a run on Larry into turn 1. That is where those bumps are going to really upset that car up top. Ryan still having a nose on Larry could keep him up there where Larry doesn't want to be in that middle group, but Ryan just didn't have enough of an arc to get in there. Side by side, just a nose ahead, but here comes Larry. No matter which corner you're on, that outside is going to have momentum here, but could this lap car be able to get in the way of this? Ryan going to try to slide up the track, going to try to use the lap car. Larry hits him. Going to have some nose damage on Larry Yingling's car. This could be major championship implications here. Ryan now going to smartly kind of give Larry a little bit of room, knowing that 67's got some right front damage. Gael, I haven't looked at it yet. How bad is that right front damage on that 67?
Yeah, so I'm trying to take a look, and I don't see a lot of damage, if any. It's hard to catch these cars at speed, unfortunately. But from where I'm looking, I think he may have gotten away with it. We'll definitely be keeping a close eye on that one. But yeah, you're right, though. And you saw Ryan, let's say, again, fair play to Ryan there. Made sure, I think he even got out of it, too, to let Larry try to have some room to get to a little lower. Instead of, there's opportunities where you can maybe use that car as a pick. So, let's say, when you got drivers like these, your friends, your competitors, and so if you want to beat them, you want to beat them heads up. And that's exactly what Ryan's trying to do right here. As you see, the 5 Kevin Freeze, he got clear of Todd Merkel. Now he's going to try to set his sights back after these guys as they yet again go back side by side here with 37 to go.
Absolutely, Gael. There's even more implications I just thought of with that move. That move was huge for these playoffs. Remember, these drivers get bonus points for having a clean 0x race. Larry Yingling running into the back of that 1, I can't imagine that was a 0x. That had to have probably been a ×4 penalty with that kind of contact, because Larry does have nose damage. You can see the hood is wrinkled up just a little bit, but instead of the right front, I think he center punched him, which is about the best Larry could have hoped for if he was going to make contact. But I'm telling you, over this long run, I don't see where that's going to help that 67 of Larry Yingling at all. Though this is a short track, I noticed in practice with these guys, if you got behind a car, you did get a tow from them. So Larry going to be a little bit of a sandbag on the front stretch. And if Ryan can time his run right out of 4 and get up underneath Larry again, he can probably get enough of a run to finally clear that 67. And once he puts that 67 in dirty air, it may be game over for him. But we're going to have to continue to watch this battle up front. And, Kevin Freeze ain't going nowhere. He's still back here. He's letting these two leaders kind of race it off hard like you talked about. He's just kind of hanging out in the weeds. Easily, if these guys get into a skirmish, he's going to be right there to capitalize.
Yeah, I think that's what Kevin needs to be doing right now, is to keep his tires in a good spot. That way, if they start battling aggressively like we've seen them, you don't expect to see a lot of mistakes. Look at this here. You see Larry ran the middle. Ryan runs the top side there out of 4. And again, Ryan just gets such good exits off the turn. He's going to get low again here, entering turn number 1. Larry's going to have to fight him. And you're right, though. I do see that nose a little bit center punch in that 67 car. So we don't know, of course, on, like you said, the bonus points on incident points, that would come across as a 1x or 0x or what, or 4x or 0x. So hopefully for Larry's sake, it was incidental enough where it'll still show as a 0x. But man, these two just cannot get away from one another here. So they're going to cross here, 32 to go. But at some point, I feel like someone's going to have to give. I feel like at this point.
I'm telling you, the 67 is in trouble. This 13 is fast, and Larry likes to run the bottom. We saw that last run. So what's Ryan doing? He is taking the 67's line away. So now Larry's not able to save the tire he wants because he's running a little bit higher up. Does he get more momentum to hold the position? Yes. But what's that doing to the 67? It's wearing that right front out, and with nose damage already, it's going to make that 67 car get really, really tight toward the end of this run. Gael, we're only on lap 90 right now. We're coming to 30 to go here. Plenty of time for these guys to still race it out. And so I think Ryan Kelly's in the catbird seat. But again, somebody's catching them little by little by little, and it looks like that 5 car is not going anywhere, Gael.
Yeah, you're exactly right. As I was watching the lap times, and Kevin Freeze has been running lap times as fast or slightly faster than the leaders, as Ryan Kelly took a little peek again in the one, wasn't able to do enough with it. But also another driver that's been able to capitalize on all this kind of chaos these last couple laps was that number 2 of Todd Merkel. So he's been running with these guys this whole time. So basically every time the leaders catch a lap car, put them down a lap, Todd's able to follow them through and get that spot to put himself back in that lucky dog position. Because right now we still sit at 5 cars on the lead lap. Jack Walls, James Ledford, the last 2 on the lead lap, about 16 seconds it looks like off the lead. But yeah, right now it's hard to go away from this battle up here. So apologies to fans of the other drivers. But when you got a battle like this for the lead, and like I said, with the championship on the line over the next 3 races, it's hard to go away from this.
Absolutely. And last lap, Ryan Kelly got a great run on Yingling in turn 2. Was able to follow him all the way down the backstretch. Look, Larry no longer able to make the bottom. Either that or he's choosing that middle line just as a safeguard to kind of keep some momentum up. And I'm telling you, he's probably going to eventually wear those tires out. I think he's went up there a little too soon. Ryan only using it in 3 and 4 where he can get that great run on Larry. And, you know, maybe Ryan's cooling his tires back off. Maybe he's just hanging out here for a minute. But I know 1 and 2 in the lap I took you guys around. I'm telling you, that bump is ferocious up there at top of 1 and 2. We know we were used to seeing some passes up there, but I don't think Ryan needs to do it there. I think he needs to really run the wall almost here in 3 and 4, get a major run. Because, yeah, he can get up underneath Larry here in 3 and 4, but he's not going to have that exit on this big D-shaped straightaway. Do you see when he pitches the car that low, it just breaks it loose and kills all momentum on this front stretch. Ryan Kelly is going to have to run that wall in 3 and 4, get comfortable with it, drive off the right rear that hopefully he's been saving, and that's where he's going to truly make the move. Because even though he's side by side again, I'm telling you, I don't think he's going to have enough momentum off that bottom. He just gets too tight with the way this setup is. Now, right there, Larry did get a little bit tight. Ryan just a hair loose. If he can hang with him here to turn 1, he's going to have to send it if he wants to clear. And he sends it down in there, but it's just not enough. Larry's still able to roll that middle groove pretty good. This is some great side-by-side action. I do think the 67 tires are deteriorating just a little bit because we haven't seen as much side-by-side as we have now. But I still say this 13's in the catbird seat, but he's going to have to make sure he doesn't keep damage. This is the run right here, nose to nose. That is a perfect way where he can send it off into 1. If I was the 13 and I'm running for a championship and $150 at the end of the season, Gael, I'm not going to lie. I would run that middle groove and force Larry to run that top next to the wall, and that would be how I cleared the 67. But me and Larry have raced aggressive for a long, long time, so maybe I'm kind of being a little too aggressive here. I've been known to be that way in the past, Gael.
Yeah, it's a tough balance. Like I said, it's one of those things where it's almost harder to race your friends like they are right now. I say, like you said, oh, you see right there, that was the best position Ryan had been, but Larry saw that and he gassed it as hard as he could off of 2 and somehow was able to make that car stick. But I think you're talking about Ryan maybe trying to take Larry's line away. I'm almost wondering too if it might be the opposite, where Larry maybe tried to take Ryan's line away, saw how fast Ryan was running that kind of that middle groove, then arcing it off on the exit, kind of like you said, kind of almost taking that second apex, if you will. So it's really interesting to say these guys are pretty much in the exact opposite positions where they were going into it. So right now, let's say Larry's trying to protect that. Even you see here, even when he has the opening for the bottom, he still doesn't take it. I think he's gonna make Ryan have to pass him on the inside line, lose that momentum, and see if he can do something with it. So kind of like a Kansas here, it's like not all the way up to the wall, obviously, but you're gonna if you want to do it, you're gonna have to try to find a way to make it happen down low. But like I said, these guys right now, it was a 25-50 for Larry, 25-51 for Ryan, 25-50 for Kevin Freeze. So, I mean, they are all running identical lap times right now. But that's the thought for now. If you're Kevin Freeze or a Kevin Freeze fan, if you can keep these guys battling like they are, keep burning those tires up. If you're being smart with your tires, you might be in a good position if you can capitalize on a mistake from these two in front of you towards the final part of this race, which already we're at 20 to go. So I say we're pretty much in that final part of the race. So say Larry and Ryan, though, I mean, they're just putting on a clinic here these last 30 laps or so after that pit stop.
Absolutely, and I'm telling you, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I think the way Ryan can truly get Larry is he's going to have to get up top in 3 and 4 and hope that he can send it to the middle lane in 1 and 2 and get that run. He's going to have to get side by side on Larry and have the outside, and he'll have to keep that 67 pinched down. The 67's running up top now because he is tight. He has run up there enough, and he's got that right rear where it probably doesn't work well going down low. If he's going to go down low, he's going to lose time because Ryan Kelly just gains too much over and over. And, you know, you talked about the 67 maybe taking the 13's line away. The only reason I argue that is we saw that the 13 started losing time toward the end of the run, running up there. And the 67 knew it. So now that he's been running up top, I think Ryan knows that as long as he can stay here and he can pester, as they almost make contact, if he can pester him here, he knows
Ryan gets loose.
He is burning the right rear up, though. That is the only problem that 13 is doing off 4 is he's burning his right rear up, keeping him from getting the power down to get next to him. But with as loose as that car is, take it up top here in turn 3. Take it around that wall. Get that side draft even off that wall. We know that's a thing here now in iRacing. And get that run off the corner onto that long front straightaway and just send it to the middle groove and know that you've got room to drift up and carry some momentum where the 67's got to keep it low. That will be, I think, the way the pass is made.
Yeah, I think you're right. We've seen Ryan, when he runs higher than Larry, he can get it to cut. He gets huge momentum on the exit. I'm saying at this point, Ryan, he can take a chance, lose a little bit of time, and regroup again because they've been able actually to separate themselves a little bit from Kevin Freeze. About a second and a half for Kevin off of these top two at the moment. So, but yeah, I mean, these guys are just putting on just an amazing fight here, lap after lap. Already down to 15 to go. I say I almost got kind of caught not knowing what lap it was or how many was left, so I was just so caught up in this battle between the two of these guys. Again, apologies for not showing everything else going on track because these two have just been putting on just an amazing battle for the lead here. I say for the win, and of course, huge championship points on the line as well. So I'm going to say stick around here because I don't think that 13 car is done because he's going to regroup. I think, like you said, Maxwell, probably getting some temperatures back in those tires, and then he's going to send it back after that 67.
Absolutely, and Gael, you know, I don't want to be that guy, but you think he uses the bumper? You think it comes down to it? He's faster. He's been faster. He's let the 67 know, and the 67 cuts him off and kind of pinches him down. You think the 13 uses that bumper just a little bit to move him out of the way to get around?
I don't think Ryan does. I just don't feel like that's right. I think there might be contact. If it is, it's by mistake as they almost touched there in 1 and 2. But I think there could be some incidental contact, but I don't see Ryan getting into the back to loosen Larry up or anything like that. I think if we see any contact, it's going to be that side-to-side contact when Ryan gets underneath Larry, just trying to keep that power down as much as he can. We see that a lot in all sorts of racing, so I think that might be what we see. But I don't think we see Ryan try to kind of give Larry that little bit of a nudge, if you will, to kind of root him out of the way that little bit, even if it's just that little bit of a nudge. I think these two, like I said, they've raced together for so long and so well with one another. I think Ryan's going to want to try to do it cleanly and say if he can't do it, I think he'll feel better finishing second than he would if he moved him.
Here's two ways I see Ryan Kelly making this pass. One, he'll either start listening to me, which I know he's not listening to the broadcast right now, but he'll listen to me, Ryan, and he'll run up top right here in turn 3 and get that momentum, or he's going to dive it down into turn 2 and he's going to have to kind of wiggle Larry up out of that middle groove. He doesn't have to hit him, he doesn't have to slam him, but he's going to have to move him if he keeps running the bottom. He's just not going to get the run off. And I think if we come down to the wire, and he knows this is the battle for a championship, I think he's okay with a little side scraping and a little pushing up the hill. Ryan is the car that's in control here. Larry is on absolute defense. There's nothing else he can do. Finally, Ryan, you're listening. You're up top at 3. Watch for him to get a run here on Larry, hopefully. If he's timed it right. And he gets that run. He's got to peek that nose. He's going to stay behind. Just don't run. Ooh, he's going to force him. He's sitting there. Oh, there's the bumper. I called it. There it is. He's going to try to start putting that bumper to him. He's going to try to move Larry up out of that groove. He's showing him now, you better move or I'm going to move you. So here goes Ryan again, up top, turn 3. He's going to get that run. Now Larry's a little bit nervous. He's checking up a little bit. Look for Ryan. I think he's going to use the bumper, Gael. I think he's going to move him just enough in turn 1 to make that pass. Push him up into the bumps. He's not going to do it just yet. He showed his hand a little bit. Now Larry's a little nervous, but if Ryan can't pass up top, he's going to have to move him off the bottom. We've already seen right now he's given the warning shot. He's willing to do it.
Yeah, so another thing is that even just that little shot, what it does is it say Larry's probably, I would say feeling comfortable, but he was, Ryan catches the wall a little bit off of 4. But yeah, you're right though. I mean, feeling a little bit comfortable with where he was, but say Ryan gets him a little bit out of shape, if you will, with that little bump. But I'd say now Ryan's got a little bit of right front damage. You can actually see it on the hood, the flap there, a little bit of damage there. So yeah, so these guys now both with a little bit of damage to their cars. But I think with as old as his tires are and everything like that, I think these guys are pretty much feeling like they've got what they've got. As Ryan again going to peek inside here as we got 6 to go here at Iowa.
Is he going to use it? Is he going to nudge him? He's not close enough this time. That he is going to get side by side with him where he can go into 3. He got a little bit loose. Oh, that right rear just doesn't have the grip out of 2 right now. But here he goes. He's finally listened to me. He's going to use that wall to his advantage. That used to, Gael, actually a couple seasons ago, used to be a very fast groove for some of these cars running right up next to that wall. I remember that. Maybe it was actually a year or 2 ago. Not a season or 2 ago. But that was a fast groove here at Iowa for a while. So you see what kind of momentum it brings that 13. He's realizing that now. Watch for him to hopefully set up there yet again here. No, he's going to shoot down, and he's going to try to trick Larry. He's going to send it down to the bottom. And I think he's just trying to side draft enough. Is he going to
a little
nudge?
bit of contact. I think you saw Ryan roll out of it. I think he thought there was going to be a bigger hit than there was. But that was more of what my concern was going to be, the contact between the two of them. But again, they still got 4 to go, so Ryan has time here. He can regroup. He can get back after it. Like I said, he's got plenty of room now. They got about 3 seconds over that 5 of Kevin Freeze, so to say he can kind of regroup, make another charge. Right now, the bigger issue is laps here. We only going to be 3 to go here at the line. So you do need to mention a little further back, Chris Matthews. He's been able to get around Gabe Butler, Michael Spell, go back to 7th after his little mistake on pit road. But right now, I'll say that we're going to stick with this battle here between Ryan and Larry because these guys are just putting on one hell of a show for us.
And by the way, Kevin Freeze, he gone. 3.6 seconds back, just could not hang with the pace these 2 guys had. Even though they were racing super hard, just did not have enough of a car there. But this is where pitting early matters. I mean, even though Larry's slower, this is what I'm talking about. By the time Ryan caught, he still had the faster car, but it's so hard to make that pass with how tight this car is, Gael. I think Ryan's going to beat himself up over staying out that late. He made it a valiant effort, but unless he moves Larry Yingling, and I don't know that he's got the car now after those few big slides, and he's sliding yet again. He just does not have the car, Gael.
He's drifting. Yeah, so as we're on the white flag, Lake City, I think that little bit of contact with the wall and a little bit of right front damage, I think that's pretty much gave it everything he had. So we'll see if anything happens in this final half a lap here, but looks like Larry Yingling might be able to sneak away with one tonight. Kind of taking the page out of Ryan Kelly's book the last few nights and short pitting a little bit. Coming out of turn number 4 is Ryan Kelly. Going to big slide at Larry Yingling. Going to get the win tonight. Ryan Kelly in second. And then Kevin Freeze is going to bring it home in the 3rd position tonight. And we'll jump a little further back because Jack Walls, let's say, it's not all done for him. He's in 4th spot. He's got James Ledford just a couple tenths behind him. But it looks like they're going to hold suit as well. So it's going to be Jack Walls in 4th. James Ledford rounding out our top 5. And also rounding out our lead lap finishers for tonight as well. So we're going to jump up front to our race winner here. We'll watch him celebrate here on the front stretch. And I'll say Larry Yingling, I think he's going to be a very tired but very excited winner this evening. And like I said, I think it's going to be a fun interview between him and Ryan because I say those two, I mean, I don't think you could ask for much more out of those two for those 75 laps or so. Or sorry, those 55 laps or so.
Absolutely. You know, we got to look at some takeaways here before this interview is going to happen, Gael. Great top 5 finishes here for Jack Hall, James Left, and playoff match. But we talked about already, 3-horse race. What it turned out being where he took off from the rest of the field. Then you had your 2 with the bounty on him, man. Taking off Larry with his 6th win of the season. That's huge, but that's what it's going to take to beat Ryan. I mean, this may just now put them kind of close together, kind of tied a little bit, or maybe Larry might still be behind in the points. Ryan Kelly, though, got to be beating himself up, man. He found that high side just a little bit too late. I think if he could have done that with 20 to go, he would have been able to play with it, learned what he could have done, kept that car from getting loose off turn 4, and been able to just take off with it and actually make some passes. But Ryan Kelly, I imagine, beating himself up. Gael, I'm really looking forward to all 3 of these interviews because we're going to get 3 totally different takes on this race. And, man, I can't wait to ask at least these top 2 a few questions.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to interview them. But we'll pull up our results here before we pull into those interviews so you can see, of course, Larry England getting that win over Ryan Kelly. Kevin Freese, solid 3rd all night long. So he just wasn't able to capitalize there towards the end, but great run for him. We mentioned Jack Walls, James Ledford, 4th and 5th. Jack's going to be the highest climber. He gained 5 spots through the night from 9th to 4th, so great job by Jack there. And then in 6th, you had Todd Merkel, who after his pit stop, he was holding with those leaders as well, so a great job for Todd. Just unfortunately, the pit strategy didn't work for him. And then good recovery for Chris Matthews to get back up to 7th after that pit stop miscue that we saw. And then Michael Spell, Gabe Butler, and Eric Laurie going to round out our 10 drivers this evening. But yeah, like you said, we got some drivers to chat with, and we're going to kick things off with that number 5 of Kevin Freese. So let's go ahead and hunt Kevin on down here. All right, there he is. All right, Kevin, I'm going to pull you in on here. Say, we're used to interviewing you over on Sundays, saying you've been so close all season long. Of course, the shorter field tonight, but, man, you were right there with Larry and Ryan all night long. I think apart from us, you probably had the best view of those guys, especially that fight towards the end of that race. I mean, take us through what the track felt like for you, kind of how you had to kind of adjust throughout the course of the run to that tightening track, of course, with the tire wear and everything like that. And then just maybe what you felt like you could have maybe done differently to try to keep a little closer to those top 2.
Yeah, I could keep up with them until I think it was about lap 40 on that first run. And I knew that going into this race during the practices I did. From lap 40, I just didn't have any long run speed. I got too tight, burnt my right front off. But it was a fun battle to watch. I was kind of hoping they would take each other out.
That was kind of where Maxwell and I were sitting. It's like, man, if anything happens between those guys, Kevin is in the catbird seat here. And even if they didn't take each other out, just enough to really kind of mess up their momentum and drop them back, have to regain kind of the cars and everything like that, would put you right back with them with probably slightly better tires as well. Because we saw some pretty big power slides out of them and things like that. But I'd say that being said, you can't take away from your performance tonight. I'd say you were spot on all night long. We saw you reacted to Larry on the pit stop. He went in, then you jumped in that following lap. Did you have any thoughts about trying to stretch maybe a little bit to try to get a lap lead to get that 1 bonus point as well on the championship side of things? Or at that point, you're like, you know what, I want to try to get that short pit track position and kind of keep on pace with those guys up front?
I was hoping I was going to pit the next lap anyway. I was trying to get a little track position because it was pretty difficult to pass. Like, I was trying to get by Todd Merkel for a few laps there, and then when he was on my outside, I just couldn't clear him, couldn't get any power down. So I was just hoping to leapfrog him maybe a little bit through that cycle.
Wow. All in all, though, a great run for you to get that 3rd place. But I'm going to pass it over to Maxwell because we were definitely watching you a bunch tonight as well. But yeah, great job, though, man. And yeah, we'll see what Maxwell's got for you.
Absolutely. Hey, man, great 3rd place finish tonight. Been practicing with you for a few weeks now, probably really since the road course for sure at Daytona. And, man, we've been talking about it. You've had speed. Finally get that 3rd place finish here. Like we said, we know it's a little bit of a shorter field, but Kevin, you could hang with him for a while. You talked about not having the long run pace, kind of falling off a little bit early compared to those 2 in front of you. Do you think maybe the tires fell off maybe based on a line you were running? Because I noticed that Ryan Kelly and Larry Yingling both ran different lines all run long, and it kind of showed a little bit in their pace as the long run went on. So were you running maybe a little bit a higher groove, maybe more toward that middle groove for most of the run and maybe burning the right front that way? Or do you think maybe the bottom groove could have been easier or worse on the tires? Like, how was your car handling in relation to the different lines out there? And do you think there's anything you could have done different to maybe keep a little bit of that right front in it?
Yeah, I don't know if it was running that real. I was trying to stay in 1 and 2 on that bottom line, but sort of towards the middle to exit of the corner, there is a massive bump and it just slides you straight up the track. So I was just trying to stay out of that a little bit once I got tighter. Larry was definitely taking a wider arc into the corner compared to what Ryan was doing throughout that most of the first run. And I think that helped him get a little tire advantage. I tried to adjust, but then I just had to change the line basically based off where the car was going.
Absolutely. Hey, we know how that is sometimes, and when we got these tighter setups, man, you know how it is. It's really hard to adjust your line once that thing starts pushing like that. But hey, great third place run. We know you didn't quite have the pace for those other two, but I'd say a third place car definitely finished where it needed to. So great run tonight, keeping yourself in these playoffs, keeping yourself close to these top two. We want to give you a chance now for any thanks and shout outs you may have for this awesome podium finish tonight, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you to you guys, the admin, and thanks to Dale who worked his tail off for this series up until this week. Hope he can get everything settled and back out onto the track with us. And thanks to my teammates for Gabe and Eric who ran tonight.
I'll say well earned tonight, Kevin. I'll say look forward to seeing you again next week. First, we'll see you on Sunday going after on the Super Speedway side. Say I know you, obviously the opening didn't go the way you wanted to with you getting called into work, but say look forward to seeing you beat up on those other guys, the remaining three. So I say enjoy this one, and we'll catch you on Sunday, sir.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. Should be a fun race.
All right, now we got to pull up. I don't know. What do you think, Maxwell? Should we pull the both of them up together this time?
I don't know, because I was getting ready to give that 13 a little bit of a scolding whenever he came up here, man, for not taking that high side sooner. You can if you want, man. That'd be kind of a dual interview there. I think we could pull it off. It's up to you, boss man.
I think we'll have some fun with them. I say they're good sports, so we're gonna do a dueling interview here. I say we couldn't keep them apart on track. We can't keep them apart during the interview as well. I think those two are gonna be sick of each other after tonight, after the interview especially. But first off, Larry, Ryan, that was an amazing fight between the two of you. We didn't expect to see you guys fight it out like you did for that remaining probably about 45, 50 laps or whatever it was. So hats off to both of you for running it like that for so long. It was a lot of fun for Max and I to be able to watch. So I guess first one for you, Ryan's going to be, all right, so this time, say you didn't get to do the short pit strategy. Larry kind of snookered you on that one, got in a lap before you. Did you have any thoughts that might be something that you had to watch out for? Or did you feel like that was going to be too early of a time for him to jump in at that point on the pit stop?
Yeah, I didn't really know what the guess was looking like. I mean, we were pretty confident we could make it halfway, but I wasn't really too sure, and I'd rather have more fuel at the end than in the beginning. So I was trying to stay out as long as I could, just to not have to worry about that later in the run. But also having the fresher tires was nice to try and be able to pass them.
Yeah, definitely it showed you had a lot of pace in that car getting back to Larry. And so for Larry, we'll switch over to you now on the side of after your pit stop. You had the lead there, but then you got caught up in some pretty tough spot on some traffic. So it looked like it cost you a ton of time there right off the bat. So was that something did that maybe affect the outcome a little bit on kind of the gap you had to Ryan going into it, or did it feel like it was going to be the same regardless of when you kind of caught that traffic early on after your stop?
I knew at least Ryan would definitely catch me sometime during the race. I think just coming out right behind a couple cars who just got tires also, and I was in dirty air the whole time. I figured that would help him close in on me a lot earlier.
Yeah, as like I said, the battle you two put on with one another was, I think it's probably been one of the best battles we've seen all season long. To be able to run side by side, nose to tail like you guys did for like I said, a solid 40, 45 laps, whatever it was. Like I said, I had to actually apologize to fans of the other drivers because it was hard to turn away from you two as well. But I'll say, Maxwell, I'm going to turn over to you though, sir, because I know you've got to give Ryan a bit of a scolding. But saying I know you've got some good questions for these guys as well.
Absolutely. So first things first, Ryan Kelly.
Yes.
Why did you wait till the end of the race to go up high in turn 3 with that momentum? Breaking that car loose, watching you just slide that right rear so many times, and watching you try that bottom, knowing how tight that setup was. You finally found the top, started finding some speed, and then it was just kind of too little too late. So how was the car handling for you in that second run, and what do you think you needed to do to get by Larry? I think I know the answer, but I'm not the one driving the car. I want to hear from you, Ryan. What do you think you needed to try to get that win tonight?
I mean, it was tough. I tried everything I could. I kept telling him I was gonna give him the bumper, but it's hard to tell him that and then execute it. So, but I was trying to. I knew if I ran in that high line earlier, it would just destroy my rears and I would have no chance on the bottom. So I tried to pass him on the bottom the whole run before the end of the race. But I kept hitting like bumps and stuff, and it kept just throwing me up the track, and it was really tough. So I tried that top at the end, but yeah, eventually I just started getting loose and couldn't get around him.
Dang, man. I mean, you definitely had the pace. I think Larry can agree. I think at the end of the race, you did still have the faster car. Just those last 10 laps, you really burnt that right rear up, brother, and it just caused you to not have the drive off you needed. But a question for both of you now. You can each speak one at a time on this. I don't want you arguing too much, but I got to ask. When Ryan did put that bumper, and Gael can give me props here. I called it about 10 laps soon. I was like, does he give him the bumper? I think he's got to make the pass. Is he going to give him the bumper? But you two know me very well. I love giving the bumper and making the pass. But Ryan, what's your take on that move you made of giving Larry the bumper into one? Was that like a warning shot or what was it? And then Larry, what was your reaction when you got that jolt there in turn 1 that could have easily sent you up the hill, yet you recovered and held on to it? Kind of what were both of y'all thinking at that moment? And did that affect maybe the racing going into those last few laps?
No, it didn't affect anything. I was just trying to get as close as I could to him, and I thought maybe if I just hit him hard enough, it would slide him up a little bit. But don't do it good, and just kept everything going.
Yeah, I saw him in my mirror just get pretty big, and I was ready for a little tap and felt a little bit, but I just didn't think about it the rest of the race. So I knew if I didn't, I would start overdriving and whatever else.
I should have hit you harder.
No, I know.
And that's why you don't do dual interviews, Gael. But Larry, one more question really quick before we got to let you go. With that, what about that lap car incident where Ryan kind of used that lap car as a pick? Did that give you any X penalty? Did that give you some incident points on that one?
Yeah, I lost 3 points from that. It's fine. It's whatever.
I was wondering. I knew that was a pretty hard hit. It didn't look like a ton of damage on the car, and you very well held on to the end. But Ryan, good use of a pick. I give you that, brother. But for both of you, we'll start with Ryan first, then we'll go to Larry. Guys, both a great race, showing what these playoffs are all about, running very hard, very quick. Great show. We couldn't take our eyes off y'all the last 20 laps. So if you can, go ahead, Ryan, you start us off first, and Larry will let you finish at the end because we know you got a list and a half to run through. But give you guys both a chance to give any thanks and shout-outs you may have for this awesome race tonight.
Yeah, well, the admins and you guys in the booth, of course, always a great broadcast. And, the winner, my teammate. It's nice to be able to joke and talk while we're racing each other super hard and for the win. So looking forward to the last 2 races in the championship, and hopefully I'll be blocking him on those 2.
And I got to shout out all my teammates this race, Ryan Gitley. And another shout out to Levi Cox for teaching me everything I know. Without him, I definitely wouldn't have finished in the top 10. And all my sponsors, Hash Bars Performance. If you need any work done on your Ellis engine or GM vehicle, contact them on Facebook to see what they can do for you. Muffin Sports Cards. If you're into sports car collecting or want to get into it and don't know where to start, follow Muffin Sports Cards on Instagram. He is always wanting to help people get closer to the hobby. He can help you find stuff, so don't be afraid to ask him for help. And Fort Worth Screen Printing. If you like t-shirts, jackets, bags, hats, shorts, among other stuff with custom artwork printed on them, check them out on fwscreen.com. I know Gaio really wants some shirts and stuff. So he needs to get on that. And
I do.
shout Gaio and Maxwell as always. They do a great job in the booth. It's going to be fun watching this race, hopefully with Ryan. Make him watch me block him the whole race, and look forward to the next race. I think Auto Club maybe. That should be pretty fun.
I think you two need me down there to put the bumper to both of y'all and move y'all out of the way. Man, Ryan, I was hoping you'd put that bumper to him, but guys, great. I probably shouldn't be pulling for that, but I really was. I love a good bump and run, man, just as much as anybody. Great race, guys. Gaio, I'm going to let you take it away. I just had to slip that in there.
Oh, no,
give
you're
both
good.
These guys the bumper for that. Oh.
Yeah, no, I say they're both gonna be very thankful that it was Ryan or Larry behind them and not you, Maxwell, because yeah, I say otherwise they had been going for a ride there. So, but yeah, just again, hats off to the both of you. You guys put on an awesome show tonight. It was a lot of fun to watch. As like I said, it was hard for us to get away from it. So yeah, so you guys will definitely be getting a lot of TV time when you rewatch this one. But yeah, just awesome job though tonight, guys. It was a lot of fun to be a part of that, watching you guys battle it out.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
All right, Maxwell. So like I said, with that, we're gonna kind of finish it up from here tonight at Iowa. So we got 2 down. We got 2 to go, and like Larry said, next week's going to be Auto Club with the finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. And we talked about, Larry mentioned those 3-point difference. I mean, that puts him now with his win at 6 points now behind Ryan Kelly. Could have been 3 points though with that unfortunate contact. So every point's going to matter. So I mean, that's basically 3 points, unfortunately, that he loses from that incident between himself and the one car. I say nothing malicious on either side. It's just unfortunately they kind of found themselves. Larry, of course, fighting so hard to try to keep that 13 behind him, and saying for Ryan just kind of, or not for Ryan, sorry, for Gabe just kind of caught him at the wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately. But yeah, I expect we're going to see a lot more of that. I think Auto Club, that can be a really fun one. So we're going to have to remember pulling some strings, try to pull in all the drivers, but hey, get back out here, get on the track. We need to get some more cars in here. But I think Auto Club is probably one that can put on a really good show. And of course, Homestead with the multi grooves there, it's gonna be a lot of fun as well. So, but Maxwell, as always, sir, it's a pleasure. It's good having you back again this week. Definitely missed you last week. So hopefully you enjoyed your birthday though. And like I said, we got 2 more weeks of this, and then we'll have to see what next season's gonna unfold for us.
Absolutely, man. Just appreciate you letting me join in each and every Thursday night. It's been so much fun. Thankful for the guy last week that filled in for me. I got to listen to y'all for about the last half. Did an amazing job. If I don't watch it, he could kind of keep me out of a job here. But, man, just such a fun race tonight. It was only 10 cars, but that battle for the lead was just so entertaining that it kept our attention for 120 laps around that place. Just shows when you've got great race cars and great race drivers, it just, a good show is just about to ensue. But these next 2 races, Gael, they're going to be huge. Auto Club, I'm not normally that big a fan. I love the Sister Track Michigan. Auto Club's kind of bit me in the rear a lot of times, but here on iRacing, I got to be honest, it's a really fun track, and the way these cars slide around and don't have as much downforce as those Cup cars, man, I'm going to enjoy practicing with them. That's all I got to say. I really want to be in the field with them going 3 and 4 wide into turn 1. I can only imagine if we get a pack of 20 cars, how amazing that's going to be. But man, they've put on such a good show this year, Gael. And, I was looking forward to the booth, and now I'm sitting here like, I don't know what I'm doing next season. I'm about ready to jump behind that wheel and kind of get out there with these guys. If you can't tell, I've been getting antsier and antsier every week, man.
Yeah, I'll say we'll find something for you. Say maybe we'll find a disguise to throw you on there, and so you can say we'll get you on there as Nailed Dot, and maybe see if they don't recognize you. Put you back in that 94 car where you're very familiar with. But yeah, We'll figure something out. Say maybe we'll get you back out on track and beat up on those guys a little bit too, because I think they've been having it a little bit too easy this season.
Absolutely, man. It's just been so much fun. I needed a good break, but man, I think it makes me ready to come back. Right. I don't know what next season looks like. I'd love to be right up here in the booth with you too. It's kind of it's a win-win. Either way I go, I love it. So it's so much fun watching these guys go at it. Hoping to see bigger car fields, like you said. These last 2 races, those point standings, they're very, very close. Larry Yingling with a huge hit after those 3 points were taken away, with that incident. So as the points literally just got updated, like you said, 6 points away. But look here, Jack Walls is only 8 points behind Larry Yingling. Not saying that, anything could happen there, but you never know what could happen. Kevin Freeze moves up 4 places in the points up to 4th. Could he have a shot? You can't rule these guys out too much yet. So A lot of interesting things going on, Gael. We're going to have to tune in these last 2 weeks and find out what happens. But, man, I'm pumped. I'm excited. Let's go. California.
Yeah, I'll say we'll be heading out west here pretty soon. So, yeah, so everybody that watched, thank you so much again for supporting us here at Green White Checker TV. It means a ton to us. And, of course, as well as supporting Area 51. So, like I said, there's going to be a lot of changes. We're not too far away from next season. So, if you want to kind of get in tune for what's next season's going to unfold, you can check them out at area51iracing.com. They've got the Discord. They got a Facebook page, so go check them out. But until then, hope you all have a wonderful evening. Happy Friday Eve. And until then, we will catch you back on Sunday for the Super Speedway. Same thing. It'll be race number 2 for them. Until then, though, hope you all have a wonderful evening and take care.